Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel, I hope you're all doing well. I will try to be fast because my neighbors decided to start again with the works, and from the moment that they restart, it's a total noise, we can't hear ourselves. I can't hear myself, for you it will not be a really nice experience, so let's try to be fast, precise, because today there is match day, Cagliari Juventus, a match that is worth 6 points, I will tell you why. And if we have time, if it's possible to record towards the end of the video, I will speak to you about a rumor. An idea that at the moment is really small, but there is an idea. Roma, Chiesa. And I will tell you why I believe that that small rumor at the moment can possibly become a real big rumor, a voice of Mercato. So maximum of like if you didn't yet, please continue to subscribe to the channel because now we start with the certainties. Certainties is that our boy, Szczęsny, has been called up and he has big chances to start, not with a mask. Yesterday, before the training session, he made a joke about it. He said, what were you expecting, to see me with a mask? The mask is only for Zorro. At least there is a good vibe in Szczęsny and there are big chances that he's starting today. But I told you, Szczęsny Perin, it's not something that is making me not sleep. So I'm reassured about that. But there will be some possible changes in the lineup. If Tuttosport and a lot of people are going towards the same lineup that will be reconfirmed again with the same 11, Szczęsny into the goal, Gatti, Bremer, Danilo, Cambiaso on the right side, Kostic on the left, McKennie, Locatelli, Rabiot in the middle, Vlahovic and Chiesa on top, there could be some surprises. It's true, Chiesa at the moment is favorite on Kenan Yildiz there on top, and for the other ones, well, we go with what we know, a team that wins, we don't change, even if last week we didn't really win that Derby della Mole. Now, what are the possible changes? Well, Kenan Yildiz is the first one, because people are asking for Kenan Yildiz. The supporters want to see him. The journalists that yesterday in press conference, they were pushing again. They want to see Kenan Yildiz having more possibilities to show. The player that will probably receive the number 10 next season, the player that will play a lot of games next season. Well, we want to see. Why waiting? That's the big question of all of us. Why waiting? We want to see him. But the surprise could not potentially be Kenan Yildiz. Well, I mean, tactically it also would have made sense because we are playing two games, one against Cagliari today, Lazio in Coppa Italia on Tuesday. If we are taking in consideration the two games, well, today maybe Kenan Yildiz that can play a bit more against Cagliari with a close defense, creating, inventing magic, these small touches would even make sense. For a Chiesa that would be stronger against Lazio in Coppa Italia. Why? Because the Lazio game will be much more open. They lost 2-0 in the first leg, so they will try to equalize as fast as possible, leaving a lot of spaces. And that's why, tactically, and not just to please supporters, but tactically, it would make sense to start Yildiz today, Chiesa next week. But at the moment, Chiesa is favorite. Now, the big change could be Alcaraz starting today, with not Weah, but McKennie on the right side. And you will tell me, where is Cambiaso? Well, Cambiaso on the left. And it makes sense in a way. This is a kind of lineup that has been trained and tested yesterday in a training session, because in the last few weeks, we had always the doubt, or at least Max Allegri always had the doubt. Kostic or Illing, and both of them, for a reason or another, were not 100% convincing. So putting Cambiaso on the left, with McKennie on the right side, you can play with an Alcaraz that can be even more offensive. From that 3-5-2, changing towards a 4-3-3. With Gatti, that the last games we saw, when we played fractions of games with a four-man defense that was extremely wide as a right back. With Cambiaso, possession on possession that can go up and down, playing as a left back. A future left back, a modern left back that is going up and down when needed. Danilo and Bremer into the defense. McKennie in that 3-5-2 goes wide, in a 4-3-3 goes more central next to Locatelli and Rabiot, and that gives actually the space in possession to Alcaraz to go a bit higher on the pitch. Verticality. He plays vertical and can find Vlahovic and one between Chiesa or Yildiz, can take a shot from the distance, and then up front, or Chiesa or Yildiz and Vlahovic next to them. So it could be a genius, You don't need to be genius, but can be a really nice test today to see that kind of lineup because it's solving a lot of possible problems. We need to pay attention to Cagliari, especially to one man, Luvumbo, a player that made a difference also against Inter. It's a striker that is always looking for that second striker to create confusion in the center backs of Juventus, to not give really referral points. You don't know where he's going, but he's attracted by that second striker to offer diverse possibilities. So pay attention to them. Pay attention to Viola, center midfielder from Cagliari that has already 5 goals with Cagliari, we know it, and also at the pressure of Cagliari. Cagliari is not a team that is pressing extremely high, but from the moment that you are entering their opposition half, that's the moment that they press. You need to pay attention. So what can be the lethal weapon of Juventus? The set pieces. Juventus scored already 11 goals from set pieces, while Cagliari can consider already 14 of them. And that's how you could possibly beat Cagliari this evening in a game that is worth 6 points. 3 for the victory, 3 other because we have 1 game less to play with 15 to go. And even more if we know that since yesterday, it is now official, Italy has 5 spots in the Champions League. And I don't want to start a debate, is it correct or not to have whatever, regardless of the league, if it's Premier League, if it's Serie A, La Liga or whatever, 5 or even possibly 6 teams from a country representing in that Champions League, because that word Champions League is losing extremely a lot of weight. But it's not new, it was already there like that with 4 teams. But anyway, that's another discussion. So yesterday with Atalanta going through, even if they lost against Liverpool, Fiorentina winning in extra time, Roma beating disaster in Milan, well, we have now 5 spots secured. And as we speak at the moment, we have Inter, Milan, Juve, Bologna and Roma. Pay attention to Roma because that will be one of the points of discussion to Chiesa, Roma, that at the moment is participating to the Champions League. Now I made 4 different hypotheticals, options, possibilities, crazy ones, but what we need to do with that 5th spot to qualify automatically, mathematically to Champions League. So at today, we know there are teams that played already 32 games, some teams played 31 games, so some teams will need to play for 18 points, some teams will need to play for 21 points because they have games to recuperate. As we speak, Juventus is 3rd, with Bologna 4th, Roma, Atalanta, Lazio, Napoli, Torino, Fiorentina. If it stays like it is, with all the teams that are winning their game, so 18 or 21 points, Juventus is worst case scenario, causa apocalypse, losing all their games, Juventus will finish 9th. With Roma 4th, Atalanta 5th. If they are able to win all their games, they go at 76 and 72. Juventus stays at 63, of course. I hope that Juventus will win some. So the first case where we can start thinking is if Atalanta wins all their games and Juventus actually do only 9 points. Then we finish both teams on the 5th and 6th position with 72 points. At that moment, I don't know at the moment who qualifies, because we did 2-2 against them, we did 0-0 against them, so who will go through? No idea. On the other side, it could even be a playoff game, that would be a total disaster. So better for Juve, in that case, that every single team is winning, to do 10 points, because 10 on 18 means Juventus qualify mathematically. Even if all the other teams are doing the maximum of points, they can't reach Juventus on that 5th spot, because Juventus would have 73 points and Atalanta 72, 72, with Lazio and Napoli with 67. Then, of course, it's even impossible that all the teams are doing the maximum of points. Why? Because Atalanta will have to play against Roma. So one of the teams, or maybe even both, if they draw, they will lose some points. Bologna will play against Roma. Juventus will play against Roma. So there are a lot of possible teams that will lose some points, and it will be difficult to see the scenario I showed you that all the teams go at full points. So probably less than 10 points are needed, probably 7 if not 6, but it depends already from today. Today we need to do it. And now we go towards the Mercato session, finalizing with Chiesa to Roma. The first we put away, and really fast, Danilo will be there next season. Yesterday and the day before there were some talks that Danilo could possibly leave if Max Allegri would leave. Danilo has no intentions to leave. He has 1 more year of contract, and I will tell you even more. If he plays 50% of the games of 2025, means 30 on the 60 available games, Danilo would see his contract extended 1 more year. So Danilo is here to stay. Juventus is interested in Gudmundsson, Because we know it, in the last few days we're speaking a lot about offensive players. We spoke about Felipe Anderson, we spoke about Greenwood, about Martial, about so many players always in the offensive role. Well, Gudmundsson is another target, where Juventus already, apparently, according to Skira, contacted the agents, the entourage. They found a kind of first opening towards a salary of 2.4, 2.5 million per year until 2028. That is one more year as the contract that he has now with Genoa. So it's tough to go for a player that has a contract in 2027. But of course, if you have the possibility to put the card Barrenechea plus the loan of Thiago Jallo, you can reduce the requested price by Genoa. But that's the story for later. What is really worrying me at the moment is there is an idea Roma-Chiesa. There is an idea Roma-Chiesa. And of course, when I hear idea Roma-Chiesa, I would say, whoa, throw it away, don't even mention it. But then I go to the title and the picture of Corriere dello Sport from this morning, L'Eroica, the heroic team with Roma that won over Milan yesterday, and that picture of Paulo Dybala with the Roma shirt. You told me 4 years ago, 3 years ago, Roma, Dybala will be a wedding. Dybala will wear the Giallorossi shirt. He will represent Roma. I would have mocked you. I would have laughed at your face. Never in my life I would have imagined this. That he could leave, maybe yes, but going to Roma, impossible. What happened? And pay attention, try to connect the dots. Dybala came back from an injury. He was not at 100% yet physical. Dybala was requesting a higher salary, couldn't find an agreement on terms of extending contract with Juve. Third, Dybala, we saw it, it was clear. He was not happy anymore, not as happy anymore as he was in the past. And Juventus took the decision to stop the contract. Dybala decided to go to Roma. For also what reason? Because at that moment there were not other big offers, the offer that he was waiting for. There was one from Inter, at the end collapsed because they went for Lukaku, but he was waiting for other teams that never arrived. And at the end, he decided to go to Roma to relaunch himself. Bring him also to the World Cup that he won with Argentina as a non-protagonist. Hey, try to put it also with the name Chiesa. Chiesa comes back from an injury, like I just told you about Dybala. Chiesa is discussing about the salary. A few months ago, we were speaking about a request of having a bigger salary, which Juventus at that moment is not accepting too. Chiesa, we see him at the moment, as we speak, he's not 100% happy. Is it because of the coach, because of the way of playing, because of his own performance? We don't know. But at the moment, he's not 100% happy. Roma will go, maybe, to the Champions League. If they won the Europa League, or if they qualify as fifth, they go to the Champions League, which will bring them in Serie A, Coppa Italia, Champions League, that big Champions League. Look, Juventus is trying to sell, to sacrifice some players. We know it. At the moment, we are talking a lot about Bremer. That is, according to me, still the first one that could possibly bring you a lot of cash. A Soule. But Chiesa, I tell you, at the moment, it's nothing. But when I'm connecting all the dots, I would not say it's pure invention at the moment. I would say it's not pure invention from Juventus being ready to listen, to Roma being ready to discuss, because if they go in Champions League, they need to reinforce themselves, and from Chiesa to maybe even accept it. So maximum of like if you didn't yet. I'm super happy and thankful to my neighbor that probably he heard me speaking and decided to wait a bit. So thank you, neighbor. Maximum of like. We see each other, if you want to, on the YouTube and Twitch channel of Juventus for the pre-game watch-along. And then here after the game for the post-game live of Cagliari Juve. Grazie, forza, Juve.